What's going on, miners? Chump Change XD here. Hope you're all staying healthy, having a great day. So I'm wearing a mask because I don't show my face, just to get that out of the way right now, because that seems to be the best question I ever get. But we are going to be interviewing my moderator, Yeti, over in the Misfit Mining Discord. He is actually the guy that downloaded the full LHR Unlocker, and it happened to be a virus. We did this yesterday live. If you guys haven't seen it, go check that video out. I will leave a link above, but we're going to completely dissect this thing. We're going to go through the viruses, go through what you can do to fix it, and we're going to show you guys how the community as a whole stopped this thing. So if you guys are interested in that, let's do it. All right, so here we are with my man Yeti. Again, we're just going to introduce him, and he is, like I said before, a mod in our Misfit Mining Discord. So Yeti, what's going on, man? How are you?
How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, pretty good. I guess what we'll do is we'll start with explaining to people like who you are, more or less going over your credentials and, you know, that you're pretty much qualified to do this type of stuff. So if you want to just take it away from there, and then we'll move on to the next subject.
Yeah, sure. So, like you just previously mentioned, I'm a mod over on Misfit Mining with yourself and a few others. My credentials, so I'm Microsoft certified for administration and security, along with Cisco certified engineering and networking coverage. My original first job was actually doing this exact same thing, decompiling viruses, deconstructing them and working out what they were actually doing and how to patch them to stop them happening again.
Oh, wow. Geez, so you've been doing this for a good while then, huh?
Over 15 years now.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I look at this stuff and I'm like, how do you even know where to start? But I'm glad that you're a part of Misfit Mining and our community as a whole. So that's why I came to you when I heard and I realized that this was going to be a scam of some sort, or viruses like we detected. As you guys can see, there is 38 security vendors, it says. And I don't know. So I guess, do you want to just start with going over what we're looking at here and how many viruses were actually, like, I guess, included in this package and how advanced it was?
Sure. So like you said, that this is 38 security vendors. That means so your normal security systems that would be installed on many different PCs and all different places that create these pieces of software have all obviously got scans running in the background when they're submitted by users that have downloaded a file. So when I heard about this, I was glad to offer my services on this and throw this into this system and see what it would come back with. And from what you can see here, it's not all the same viruses, Trojan, backdoors, ransomware that you would normally see with maybe a traditional virus, where you see a lot of commonality between the virus companies. So they'll all detect it as maybe a Trojan or a backdoor or some kind of variant of some sort of malicious code. What
so
we're
this
seeing
seems to be
here,
like a compiled bunch of different ones.
Oh yeah, well that's exactly what I was just about to get to. Literally, you can see here, this is a bundle of different things. So you can see that AVG, for example, has picked up one variant, whereas something like ESET NOD 32 comes back as a completely different type of virus altogether, or in that regard, a Trojan, along with like Kaspersky comes with a backdoor. So each one of them is effectively detecting something different from the other.
Interesting. So now, in layman's term, how advanced is this? And do you think you have, I guess, some sort of an idea of what this person was after, I guess?
So by looking at what the security vendors are showing, there's to a certain degree quite a pattern showing already, that there's backdoors, that there is Trojan horses that allow the user access to your PC without your knowledge, along with ransomware systems that would effectively lock you out from being able to remove it. So it's very, very sophisticated in the way that it would have triggered one after another to happen in a specific order that would have effectively put it in such a state that you would never have known it was compromised afterwards.
So like literally this is just, they would milk every ounce of information that they could between, like, you know, if you're signing into your bank account, they'd be able to take all that information, passwords, usernames, like stuff like that.
What it can do pales in probably the imagination, to be quite honest.
Wow.
What you're thinking that it could do, it could probably do so much more.
Dude, that's crazy. So like something like this to be built, right? How long does that take, I guess? That's really my question. Does this take like months?
In an ideal world, if it was just one person, and they had access to all these different viruses and Trojans and everything, you'd be looking at a good month's worth of work for one person.
Oh,
however, a team of people or a group, I could see this being made up in a matter of days, if not weeks.
Thinking of everybody being able to download this, right, and having access to this file, if we didn't catch it as fast as we did, how much of an impact do you think that this would really have had on the crypto community and just like, you know, households in general?
I can give you one example that I saw firsthand spread.
Sure.
Back in the day when MSN Messenger used to be a thing.
Yep.
I saw the very first MSN Trojan get spread. And that spread something like half the planet in about 6 hours.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
To give you an idea, if it was planned right, with the right way of launching the system when they were ready and triggering it,
wow,
you could see a big problem very, very fast.
So do you want to dive into inside this package, like what we're looking at here, this screen of red 38? Do you want to start going through the specific or the most, I guess, the worst viruses that you could think of, and kind of just give us a run through?
So there's a couple actually that I know of straight off the top of my head.
Okay.
So Artemis is a code name that McAfee use for some of their most extreme Trojans or viruses that they have yet to completely identify. So this could very well be something brand new that they've never seen before, which that's a scary thought in its own process.
Right.
Again, ransom Win32. Ransomware is some of the worst stuff to be infected by. Usually it ends up with loss of data or having to pay serious quantities of money in order to get the key to basically unlock your PC files.
Oh man, so that's like somebody would like steal your desktop wallet and then hold it as ransom to
oh no, it's even worse than that. They completely encrypt the entirety of the hard disk right down to the boot sector. It's some of the worst stuff that you'll ever see as any sort of IT specialist or infrastructure guy. You would hate to be involved with having to deal with ransomware. There was one more that I spotted, which is there it is, backdoor MSIL Andron. So this is the backdoor one that I was explaining. This is the one that is silently installed. It's I think one of the most annoying ones to get rid of from a technical sense, because it installs itself so deep and everywhere in the system that if you miss one and reboot, it will come back again and again and again. And basically what it does is it will give you screen view or capture without the user knowing. You can keylog without the user knowing. So in other words, know exactly the keystrokes they are putting in and in which order. So that's like passwords, seed passwords for crypto wallets.
Wow.
You name anything that takes a typed keyboard press.
That could have been catastrophic in itself.
Oh, for sure.
I guess it's a good segue into going into how did they actually do this? Do you think we should get into that, like how this was implemented into the actual file that we downloaded, like how they were running it and all that?
Sure. Well, we were very lucky enough to get another piece of the puzzle after we came off the live chat yesterday.
We did. Give out a huge thank you to a few guys over here. We have the Indian Setup Guru. He actually helped us get some files for the live stream yesterday. That was the actual initial file to download this virus. He grabbed it and sent it over to me. And then we did have Serpent X Tech gave us a hand with the actual real NVIDIA driver file, which allowed Yeti to decipher this further last night. So I'll let you continue to talk about that.
Yeah, we with that extra bit of information, and we were able to run it inside of the VM again and actually see it running. What we found out was what it was doing was almost like a bit of smoke and mirrors, a bit of like, as if the easiest analogy I could use was sleight of hand that a magician would use. Well, this is effectively digital sleight of hand. So what it was doing was downloading a 155 kilobyte file, which would then download a legit real NVIDIA driver that was untampered, still intact and completely safe. And what it would do is it would run the two files simultaneously. Now, if you looked in Task Manager, you would see two of the same file running. Which one's the real one and which one's the non-real one? You wouldn't know. And because it finished before the NVIDIA driver finished installing, you would just assume it was part of the NVIDIA installer. So like I say, digital sleight of hand. Yep. Did actually do exactly what it was showing you on screen, and that's install the latest NVIDIA driver. Right. So you would naturally assume that you've installed the driver. Even if you looked in your add and remove programs, it would show the latest driver. You'd be able to load the programmer. Wow. All the time while this little tiny file goes to work in the background where you don't see.
All right, let's get to the next subject. So what do you think? I'll let you run this. Do you want to go through any tabs that you have pulled up, or
Sure. Yeah. I wanted to pull up another tab from a different antivirus scanning software.
Sure.
So this is what Sophos uses to determine what it is and how much of a virus score it's got, to work out whether it's malicious, whether it's a virus, whether it's Trojan, and so forth. So what I was able to determine from here is that it is along the lines of my theory, where it says that it's possibly a dropper. Well, the term dropper means that it basically downloads a file to a temporary folder and then executes that program. And you can see that it also says this program tries to mislead users about its origins, where it says this pretends to be from NVIDIA, but it is not signed. And that was going back to what we were saying on the live stream. If it was done properly, you would digitally sign it to make sure that people know that it's legitimate and safe.
That was very interesting, to say the least. I guess the next and final couple questions I have for you is this still going on? Like, is this still a threat? And have we dealt with it the best way that we could have as like a community in a whole, by at least getting this information out there?
Well, thanks to the community as a whole, GitHub were informed by quite some amount of people. I've actually got it showing. This is the original URL that was handed out, and you can clearly see that it is no longer active.
This is not the web page you are looking for. Oh, that's great. This guy's so mad. Awesome, dude. That's great. So, I guess now, like the final question back up to this. People that have already downloaded this, do you have any advice for them on how to go about either getting rid of it, or is it still a threat to them? I guess that's really something I don't know personally.
So one other thing that we were able to achieve as well is that we were able to have the domain name that it was all pointing at also downed.
Oh, damn.
Again, a lot of community members emailed the company that is hosting it, and again, they were able to convince the hosting company to take a look. And this morning I was sent an email from a viewer who was kind enough to share a response with us
Oh, wow.
of what has happened.
Hell yeah. Dude, that's awesome. So let's check it out. Hello there. Thank you for your report. The DNS zone of surgydev.com was suspended in our system. That's amazing. So they basically nuked his account, right? Oh, there it is. We're having trouble finding it, so that's it.
So
Awesome.
what I'm hoping is that if there is any sort of connect back to that service for extra files or anything like that, hopefully now that the GitHub and the domain is offline, hopefully that should at least stop anyone that has been infected losing any more to it down the road. If it gets activated at a later moment, then obviously hopefully by having those things disabled, we'll be able to protect more people. So I
Just
guess the
kind of-
next question you're going to ask is if there's a way to have it removed.
Yeah, that's kind of, I was trying to think of like how the heck to ask. Yeah, so
Okay, so
yep.
the correct way for this, most antiviruses are now well aware of this file and where it goes to and where it drops all of its files to. All you'll need to do is update your virus definitions on any antivirus software that you might be running.
Okay.
Have your antivirus run a scan and quarantine any files. Once you're quarantined, I would highly recommend probably a reboot so that it stays in active quarantine and releases from the active RAM. And then you should be able to clear the quarantine files and delete them completely. In theory, that should completely remove it from the system.
Interesting. Now, is there, I guess for people that are going to have the same questions as me, is there a way to look up what you just explained to do? For them, like a step-by-step on how to do something like that, or like just some sort of guidance? Because listening to that, it probably seems overwhelming to a lot of people on how to figure that out.
That's actually a very good point. So there are some lead-ins to where the files are located, the registry edits that it does,
Okay.
the changes to Windows Defender that you would have to undo. However, that's where an antivirus program should come in, because it should be able to undo all of that for you. Because of obviously sites like VirusTotal, for example, run every top tier antivirus out there. So they're one of the few companies that basically submit data to those companies to make antivirus patches for. So when you submit to these and they get detected as viruses, very quickly they will be updated live on those antivirus softwares.
What do you have right here?
So this is the behavior of what it does. And this is what it does. It deletes a temporary file that it downloads. This is just basically for the package installer. The files that it drops. So here's all the different files that it dumps onto your machine. Each one of these TMP files is technically a virus in its own right.
So is that the total number of viruses right there in this
No,
package?
because
Okay.
one could unpack another virus, which could unpack another virus. The registry keys are all to do with basically turning off file tracing, turning off any sort of hidden console tracing that while it's working. And along with that, I believe it also drops in a reg key for turning off Windows Defender.
So yeah, somebody put some serious work into ruining somebody else's day.
Oh, for sure. So
Man.
this is the file that it actually infects, shall we say. WRFault is actually a Microsoft program. But what it does is it changes WRFault from itself, backs that file up, and then installs a brand new WRFault.exe file, which is actually a backdoor. So do you see where it says
backdoor, you mean just a way for them to get in?
Yep. So do you see this bit here, this P hyphen, so the hyphen P 2112, that tells it that that's a port number, and S means that's a server connection port. And you would never see that with WRFault, because I looked that up. That is to do with fault tracking inside of Microsoft software.
Damn.
Which would never need to open a port number, because any faults like that usually come up on your screen asking you to send the report to Microsoft.
Right.
And that's only triggered then after you click, yes, I would like to submit it to Microsoft.
Wow.
So it'd never need a port number, and it certainly wouldn't need a server port.
I think that's gonna do it. Is there anything else you want to add to this before we just call it a day?
Just be careful when you see links going around. It's always very easy to be infected. It's usually much harder to do the opposite.
Word of the wise right there. And that's the truth, man. Gotta always do your due diligence. Always. If you don't know much about computers, let the experts handle it first. Not saying I'm an expert, but Yeti knows a million times more than me when it comes to this stuff. So I would rather see somebody like him dive into something like this than you guys get infected or, screwed, more or less. So what'd you guys think? Hopefully you learned something today. I know Yeti is just unbelievably smart, and I totally appreciate him coming on. So thank you again to him. Please don't forget, go down here, hit this like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys haven't seen this video or this video, please go check them out, because you guys might learn something else. But until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.